Let's revisit our bell ringer. Tom looked in his wallet. He can't believe he forgot to bring money to the store. Again. He sighed because he knew his wife was going to be frustrated with him for not bringing home milk like he'd promised. What does the text say Tom actually did? It says, Tom looked in his wallet. He can't believe he forgot to bring money to the store again. You can see exactly what Tom did. Looked in his wallet and forgot to bring money to the store. What does the text say about Tom's wife? It says his wife was going to be frustrated with him. Those are explicit details. It states right in the text what Tom forgot and how his wife would feel about it. There's no guessing. We even highlighted it. We know in the text that Tom looked in his wallet and he realized he forgot his money. We also know that his wife is going to be frustrated with him. The author wants us to know these details. Now, thinking about it some more, have you ever heard of the phrase read between the lines? What does it mean? This time, read between the lines. Tom looked in his wallet. He can't believe he forgot to bring money to the store again. He sighed because he knew his wife was going to be frustrated with him for not bringing home milk like he'd promised. Now this time the author doesn't tell us exactly what they want us to know. They want us to read between the lines to kind of figure out what the text is saying without it being explicitly stated. So how is Tom feeling right now? If you look in the text, you can't really tell. It's not entirely clear. But there are some clues we can use to figure it out. It says he can't believe. Based on that clue in the text, what do you think the author wants you to feel how Tom is feeling? How about this one? Do you think Tom forgets things a lot? Why or why not? Is there a clue in the text that might tell you maybe Tom forgets things a lot? We could look right here. It says his wife was going to be frustrated with him. What does that tell us about Tom? Authors don't tell you everything. Life would be so much easier if they just told us exactly what they wanted us to know. But authors have many reasons for not giving us the entire story. Why don't they tell us everything they want us to know? Why do they want us to make a connection? Why do they want us to make an inference? Why do they want us to think about what we read? Let's take a look at a passage. We're going to look for explicit details, details that are right there. We can see them or highlight them in the text. The poor little hobbit sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands and wondered what had happened and what was going to happen and whether they would all stay to supper. Then the bell rang again louder than ever, and he had to run to the door. It was not 4 after all, it was 5. Another dwarf had come along while he was wandering in the hall. He had hardly turned the knob before they were all inside, bowing and saying, "At your service," one after another. Now you're going to have some questions. Keep in mind these questions are explicit questions, meaning all of the details can be found right in the text. Now let's read the same passage again, only this time you're going to have to make some inferences. You're going to have to read between the lines. You're going to have to use what you already know and some clues in the text to try to figure out the answers to these questions. The poor little hobbit sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands and wondered what had happened and what was going to happen and whether they would all stay to supper. Then the bell rang louder than ever and he had to run to the door. It was not 4 after all, it was 5. Another dwarf had come along while he was wandering in the hall. He had hardly turned the knob before they were all inside, bowing and saying, "At your service," one after another. Now let's answer some questions. Remember, these questions are inference questions, meaning the answer will not be right in the text. You'll have to use some clues from the text and what you know of the situation, or any connections you can make to a situation like that to figure out the answers. Let's do a quick review. Explicit details. We know those details are specifically stated in the text. You can highlight them. As you can see, you can physically see them. The author tells you exactly what you need to know. There is no guessing about explicit details. We know what Tom did. He forgot his money. We know how his wife felt. She was frustrated. On the other hand, there are inferences. These are a bit trickier because the author wants you to think about what you read by using what you already know and what the text says. So any connections you can make. Have you ever been in a situation where you just can't believe you've done something or you forgot something? How did you feel? And then the clues that the text provides. Here's your exit ticket. Give me an inference about this situation. It says a man ran after a retreating bus, waving his briefcase frantically. The text doesn't tell you why he's running after the bus, why he's waving his briefcase. Make an inference based on what you could know of the situation. Can you make some sort of connection? How's he feeling right now? Have you ever felt that way? What made you feel that way? And what are the clues in the text? It says he's running after a retreating bus, waving his briefcase frantically. What kind of clues can you get from that, and what kind of inference can you make?